Welcome back to the Barrel Talk Podcast. We are back with another episode, joined with Cole here again. Kind of talking some college ball. We are about to have the Sweet 16 kickoff tomorrow, but it's also start time to kind of look ahead, look to the draft a little bit, because all these guys are kind of rising and falling. All these guys are in the tournament for the most part. Some have been eliminated, some are still playing. Decided to have a fun. I obviously know we don't have the order. We're going to do a random order, but we're going to do a NBA March Madness mock draft. Kind of looking at some guys that are rising, some guys that are falling. We're going to go one by one, and then we'll hop into the picks right there. But, Cole, how are we feeling about the tournament, man? How are we feeling about some of these guys?
I feel like it's been a really good tournament. A lot less, I think it's fair to say, a lot less like chalkier than last year. There's been upsets. Like obviously the big one is Iowa over Florida right now. Texas making it as a play-in team. And it's just a bunch of like really good matchups. So that's always fun to see. Obviously, I was upset about my Kansas game, but I'll save that. I'm not gonna dive into the game or nothing like that. But tournament overall has been like really good. Like, dude, like the Saturday night and then with the Saturday night with Vandy, Nebraska, and then Sunday the Kansas game was crazy. Then the Iowa game, like right after that, being really good. Like this weekend, like round 2 was like elite. Round 1, solid. Round 2 was like. Round of 32 this year, like, delivered big time. Mm-hmm. One of the best round of 32s ever.
Yeah. I agree. Just looking at some of just the guys that are also playing as well. Guys like LeBaron Philon, who I think has kind of helps his stock a little bit, especially if he has another great performance against Michigan. Darius Acuff is still, like, rising up boards more and more I see him. And for some of the bigger guys, like, I don't think AJ or Darren Peterson's value is hurt at all, really, by them losing early in the tournament.
If anything, AJ had a crazy game, and then Darren did everything he could with how terrible the spacing around him is. I think this thing with Darren, I think scouts like seeing him do stuff like this without shooters around him. And I think, and Russillo said it. I'll say it real quick. Russillo, I heard him say that from all the NBA front office people like he's talked to, they don't value, like they aren't worried about Darren Peterson like the media has been all year with like the injury stuff. They aren't really alarmed by that. So that was interesting to hear. I heard that today actually.
So we can jump right into it. We'll go back and forth on the picks. I'll send the lottery right here. I was doing a ton of mocks the other day, just kind of having fun with it. And then, so
wow,
Pacers ended up keeping the pick right here. The Heat move up 9 spots. Sacramento moves up 1, and everybody else drops below. So, how do you want to do it? Do you want to pick first or second?
We're both even. And if I'm doing Golden State, you're doing. I'll let you go. Well, it doesn't really matter actually. So because I think we know if Utah gets one, who they would take because. BYU stuff, maybe. I don't know. I'll let you go first. I want you to go first.
Okay.
Just because.
Okay. And then we'll do. Okay. So, obviously, you brought up the BYU stuff with Debanza.
Yeah, I don't know who you're going to take. But.
When I was doing a lot of these mocks, I was also sitting here looking at, like, if I'm the GM, team structure, and everything else like that. It seems like Utah is kind of going into this pivot of trying to win, which I think is something that they definitely need to do. I think they got a really solid deal for Jaren Jackson Jr., especially pairing him up with Walker Kessler. I really like that fit. And you still have Lauri Markkanen. And Lauri Markkanen, obviously, big 4 years, $46.3 million contract. Is that able to be moved? Who knows? Because, like, we haven't seen Lauri Markkanen play, like, meaningful winning basketball just because he's been in Chicago, who wasn't good, and Cleveland, who was kind of in the in-between. Then they got Donovan Mitchell. Then he comes to Utah, and Utah's like so for like the past couple of years. He's been here like trying to really tank as well. And then you got like Ace Bailey who's hooping. I know AJ seems like the guy because of the BYU stuff here, and I still think it's in their best interest to somewhat go best available. And I think AJ could work with this team, especially if they go to if they ended up with one and they're thinking about Debanza. I think they'd find a way to move off Markkanen. And then, like, you have this, like, jumbo lineup of Ace Bailey, Debanza, Triple J, and then Walker Kessler, and you have Keontae George. Like, that's the most exciting thing Utah's had since, like, rookie Donovan Mitchell. Like,
yeah.
Especially with the way Ace Bailey's hooping. Yes. So, looking at that, I'm looking at that as well. I also see a world where, like, you go Darren Peterson, because like looking at their guard room, it's kind of like Keontae George and Zay Collier, and that's really about it. Cody Williams has shown some flashes, but he can be more of a swing guy off your bench. Like, so you could have a Keontae, Darren Peterson, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, Triple J, Walker Kessler kind of rotation right there. Like, something like that could be a lot of fun scoring between Ace Bailey, Darren Peterson, Keontae George, and it's kind of anchored down with some good defense and Triple J, Walker Kessler as well. But I just think they would go to Bansa here and either move Markkanen, or you can just have some fun, crazy lineups where you have like AJ at your 2, like, and this is saying like you could have Ace Bailey come off your bench and just be a spark, like just be a guy that's just out there to just get his, like, and I think that's what his role is. So I'm gonna go AJ. I try to talk myself into Darren Peterson, but I'm gonna go AJ. I think it would make the most sense. And even then, like, you're pairing him up with Triple J, Walker Kessler defensively, like, I think it would just be a really good fit.
Like we won't spend a million. Like we won't spend a ton of time on every pick, but I think for the first pick, I do want to say for that pick too, like Ace has been fine and he's been good, but he hasn't shown enough to where you're changing how you draft that one this year because of him. You know what I mean? Like you're picking how you want to. Ace isn't affecting your decision for that pick. Another thing, like about like, I guess I'll say for the number 2 pick, I'm going to go ahead and just go Darren Peterson. And I want to say the most exciting thing for this pick for me with the Pacers is Darren has showed all year that he is the definition of a shooting guard, and he does not need, like, it's so perfect for their backcourt because he's not going to require any type of ball dominance, where I think AJ Demancic kind of like to be to his ceiling, like for AJ to be at his best, he needs that ball in his hands a decent amount. And I think like Keontae's been amazing, but I think Utah's able to do that better for him than Indiana is with having Halliburton. And so I think Darren Peterson's like, Indiana's like the perfect place for him to go. So I think it's great that they got a number 2 pick and that Darren Peterson's going to be on the Pacers in this draft.
And there's kind of just that void at the shooting guard spots where like you have Nembhard that can run the 2 at times as well. But I think like a bench unit led by McConnell and Nembhard, and then you kind of have like always a true point guard on the floor with Darren Peterson at any time that he would be on the floor. It, with this team, I think would help a ton. I love his fit in Indiana. I think that would be the best case scenario for him in terms of the teams that could move up. Another super interesting one I thought for Darren Peterson was I did some mocks where like Atlanta moved up, and I was like, man, him with Dyson and Jalen Johnson, that would be fun. But I like his fit with Indiana just because I think this is a need. But I do,
and they can run lineups.
Like the idea of him with a true point guard pretty much at any time he'd be on the court.
And Indy will be able to run lineups with Hallie, Nembhard, and Darren on the floor, with Darren at the 3. Like with Darren being 6'5" and Hallie being 6'5" and Nembhard being like, that's not a problem at all, especially with the pace they want to play at.
Getting into the Kings, I did a ton of mocks where the Kings got outside of the top 5. Like I was like, it was somewhere between 4 and 8, and I was just like, man, this is just like, I feel so bad for one of these guards. Not so much bad, but it's just like, what is Sacramento? Like Sacramento's just like in this void.
But their roster could be so much different next year too. It's going to look so much different than it does right now, I bet, by this time next year.
I'm interested to see if they go and trade Sabonis, but I do think this is where I take my shot here. This is where I take my shot in the dark here and get crazy with it. I think Sacramento could use, and I think it's such a Sacramento pick, they would want to go with some pop. From everything I've seen from them, they want to get that light the beam back. They want to get the pop back. They want to get that fast-paced tempo back. I would see a world where they would take Acuff. With the way he's playing, Acuff could fuck around, slip into the top 3 if it did land like this, because I think the best way to start kind of a full franchise rebuild would be to start at your point guard position and then build throughout, because you can still have a world where Sabonis is still here next year as well. Cam Boozer, Sabonis, I don't love that fit a whole lot, even though I think Boozer could be fine at the 4 with Sabonis at the 5. I just think that they would go some pop here, and I think Acuff will be the guy with the way he's playing with the tournament, and I think I'm talking myself into Darius Acuff being 3, going over Wilson and Boozer to the Sacramento Kings, and they have their franchise point guard.
He's probably going top 5, so I don't hate
Yeah.
that at all.
It's just like looking at their team, Boozer might be the safe pick, but it's also Sacramento. I can see Sacramento taking Acuff, especially if he has another good like Sweet 16, possible Elite Eight. Like then he's getting into like separating himself from the Kingston Flemings and Keaton Wagners and Mikhail Browns, which I think he's already doing.
I like the pick. I think he's rising. I think he'll end up being a top 5 pick probably. I think he's going to jump all those other guards outside of Peterson and Debansa. I like it. This is Miami's pick? Sorry,
Yep.
it's small on the screen. It's Cam Boozer at 4. You know, you can say what you want about them having Adebayo and people having concerns with Boozer's shot. But at the end of the day, this is the best available, and Miami's going to be able to get the best out of a Cameron Boozer too. I like this for him a lot also going forward with them trying to get younger, them also still being good and competitive. I think that they have a bunch of resources for him with like just how they run their program, and I think that he is the perfect guy to go in there, and they're going to be able to have pieces around him to where he doesn't have to carry such a load. You know, the concern for me with the Cam Boozer going to the NBA is if he goes to one of these super shitty teams, you're looking at maybe a situation where, hey, like they're forcing it to him a lot. He's not able to be as dominant in the post with more size and help, but him having other guys on his team that are really good basketball players, who knows what their roster will look like, but like a Tyler Hero, a Norman Powell, Bam Adebayo, all these good players, it's going to be a really good situation for him, and I think he's just the best available guy by a pretty solid gap to me right now. As much as I love a Caleb Wilson and Kingston Flemings, the pick for me is Cameron Boozer at 4 because, like, okay, it's one thing if Caleb Wilson was this knockdown like stretch 4, you know what I mean? Like he's really good in the mid range, but the shooting isn't very. The 3-point shooting is pretty similar when it comes to Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer. I like Cam Boozer here.
Yeah. Just kind of piggyback off what you were saying, I do like it there as well. Putting him in a place like Miami, who's one of, if not the best development system in the NBA. And you're putting him with Bam Adebayo, who can space the floor a little bit better now in his career. You're putting him next to Khalil Ware, who can also space the floor a little bit. So
Yes,
you can allow for
him.
a lot of touches for Boozer to get his work down low. Because I think Miami sneakily has a good spacing team. But I'm interested to see what their roster looks like next year because they did end up moving up in this scenario. But I do like the fit with Cam Boozer
This could
there.
be a trade spot too for them.
Yeah.
Depending on what they want to do. But Miami also, we give Miami a ton of credit for like always having a good team. They also haven't been ultra aggressive really recently. They always make it seem like they're about to be aggressive going for a star player. They really don't get very aggressive. So maybe a trade's a reach. I could see them just kind of building through the draft, like being safe with it.
Me now at 4 for the Wizards. Go a number of different routes. See Caleb Wilson here. I've also seen a ton of just like smaller things with mocks of like Trae Young could possibly like not be here long term in a point guard rich class. Do you just take your point guard of the future and let him sit behind Trae Young and grow? If that were the case, I'd pick somebody that can play alongside Trae Young. It would be somebody like Keaton Wagner, somebody who can for sure play the 2 and has all the skills to be an all on and off ball guy. But I think you just go Caleb Wilson here with what you have, and if you are
100%.
building like Trae Young long term here, Anthony Davis, Alex Sarr, Caleb Wilson defensively, that would be a problem out east right away. And then you can also use that as a really good infrastructure defensively around Trae Young. You still have so much scoring in Trey Johnson, Bob Carrington, you still have Bilal Coulibaly. This could be a really fun team if they were able to end up like with somebody like Caleb Wilson.
I agree. For Brooklyn here, I think you cut your losses of missing on a lot of guards last year. You just go Kingston Flemings. You go best available. I'm really high on him as well, so I'd be excited about this pick for them. I think there is something there with Jaeger Devin, but it's not as a point guard. It's not as what we saw him play at BYU. It's going to be more of a shooter and spacer and that 6'8" guy who can play make. You're not going to count on it from him. I think Kingston Flemings is going to get a big responsibility next year in Brooklyn if this is where he were to end up. This is a destination where I think they're really hungry for a Darren Peterson or AJ Debansa, obviously, but I think they'd be very happy to get a Kingston Flemings at pick 6.
I do agree. I think Igor's like that perfect point forward in today's game with a good size that like might not be your number one primary ball handler, but I think if he's just somebody that is just out there in the flow of the game that can handle make plays off the bounce. Like, I think that's where his role is, especially getting somebody like Kingston Flemings, who has the defense, is probably the best defensive guard out of all the point guards for sure, that can play the two and play some off ball. Like we've seen that from his game this year. And I think at the NBA level, I'm big on Jordy Fernandez for Brooklyn as a coach. I just think he needs to they just need to get him some more talent around him, because I think he's a really good coach in my eyes. I think if you got him somebody like Kingston Flemings, I'd really fuck with it.
Dallas. He's tanking like hell for them. He's tanking like hell for them right now.
Dallas. Number of different ways. Is Kyrie going to be on this team next year? I would think so. I think they would keep somebody like Kyrie maybe 1 year, especially because what's Kyrie's value coming off of the ACL? And like, what would they even get for Kyrie Irving, and something they would want? I don't know. It would have to be something in the offseason to make me think Kyrie could get traded. Obviously, just signed there. But I think Kyrie could be in this cool situation with like Cooper Flagg and all these young guys still, like in Dallas, where I think it could be interesting. So I'm going to go off the fact and the mindset that they're keeping Kyrie. But that still doesn't mean they should shy away from getting a point guard in such a point guard rich draft class, because who knows what could happen at a deadline or something like that. And you have some guys here, Mikael Brown, Keaton Wagner. I like Braden Burries here as well. But if I'm looking at Mikael Brown or Keaton Wagner, I think I would go Keaton Wagner. This is tough. This is a tough pick, because I always ended up getting Kingston Flemings here to Dallas somehow.
Yeah. I love the fit with Wagner there with Cooper Flagg. I think they would play really well with each other. Both just super like patient players that play with, really under control and don't make many mistakes.
I'm going to go with Keaton Wagner. Somebody who can play the one, play the two. If you do want to keep Kyrie Irving, he can also just develop off ball and on ball. I just think he's a really good guy that can just play off of everybody on that Dallas team, because you want Cooper Flagg to have the ball, Kyrie to have the ball, obviously, and he's somebody that can just fit in that world with like guys like Max Christie. I think him and Max Christie is like, that's a really good just like shooting guard room to have like in rotation.
I actually have with Memphis coming up, I meant to say this at the start of the show. I actually believe that Mikael Brown might stay a year in college with how guard heavy the draft class is and the amount of money he's able to make. He played through some injuries this year. I could see him staying and being in a Phylon situation next year, but in an even like a weaker class than this year, getting himself to being that sophomore that can still be a top 5 pick. So I actually think Mikael Brown is going to stay. But that being said, when I look at Memphis here,
there's actually another guy I also have that thought about too later down the line. But
okay. I look at Memphis and I don't know what the future with Ja is. I really don't. And even then, they just have so many guards. I don't think they're in the position to really be picking for they're not really going to be looking positionally too much to me. But I still think that with how all these good guards left, if they were on the board right here, I got them taking LeBaron Phylon. I think there's a world where John Morant is gone. And Phylon's a guy who can play the one, who is a true point guard to me, but also has shown enough scoring and shooting ability to where he doesn't have to be a point guard on your team. And I think he's just playing himself up to, I just think there's going to be a world where he has a really good tournament and his combine's really good, whatever it is, and he's just a guy that teams are wanting right outside of those top guards that we've already taken. I like Phylon here to Memphis.
Yeah, I was either thinking somewhere of the lines of John Morant's not here, Phylon, Mikael Brown, whatever one of the guards that falls to you take and go off that, because I just think, you have guys like Ty Jerome, Scottie Pippen Jr., but I wouldn't call either one of those franchise guys. You can fuck around and get a first for Ty Jerome services this offseason, even though you just paid him. The other guy I was looking at was somebody like Nate Ament, because I think Memphis does have a really good development system, and he's more of a project play.
Yeah.
Getting into Atlanta, super interesting situation, because you're kind of on the brink of being a really good, fun team out east, but I think you just need a couple more things to break your way a little bit. I think you could use some more size. I think Dyson Daniels I like more, has kind of this off-ball guy. I think they need a true point guard, and I think that's kind of the thing that's kind of disconnecting. I think it's just so much responsibility on Jalen Johnson to kind of make shit happen in the half court and make shit happen offensively, has to kind of that point forward. I think if you got him somebody else to kind of help play make, you can really see Dyson Daniels get back to that damn near Depoy level, like with him and all. Like, I just think it's a lot of responsibility and they need a true point guard. This is where I think Mikal Brown Jr. would go if he were to come out. So I'm going to go Mikal Brown Jr. because I'm having the mindset that he's going to come out in this universe, in this mock that we're doing. So I'm going to go Mikal Brown Jr., somebody that can fit perfectly on this team. And I think this is a good value place to get him at 9 if Atlanta falls a little bit, because he didn't play in the tournament and he was dealing with some injuries, to where he could be a diamond in the rough kind of guy if he does come out still.
100%.
And then I can go back to back. Yeah, I can go back to back with the Bucks. And then you can go back to back because it's Bulls Golden State after this. So, looking at this, all kind of the guards are off the table for the Bucks, because I think Ryan Rollins can play the one or the two if the Bucks ended up getting into a situation to where they ended up with one of the premier guards. And I think it'll be a really good backcourt. I'm going to use this and think Giannis is staying, because that's just what the belief I have is. Until Giannis is traded, I don't want to hear about the rumors or anything else like that of him possibly getting moved. Until I see him off the Bucks, I'm not going to believe it. So I'm using this pick and thinking that he's still here. So we're looking at NBA ready guys, somebody that can come in, step into this rotation right away and make a difference. I looked at Yaxel. I know he'd be an interesting guy because he can come in right away. Used to playing with bigger guys at Michigan. I think he'd definitely add some more size, kind of what you not so much want Kyle Kuzma to be in a way, but just be another forward that can just run the floor, play his spots, and everything else like that. I like Yaxel. If they drafted Nate Ament, I'd be pissed because he's too much of a project guy and you're trying to win now. But I'm going to go Braden Burries, because I think a backcourt of Braden Burries and Ryan Rollins could really work. And I think Braden Burries is somebody that could just play off Giannis, play off Ryan Rollins. You still have Miles Turner. You could do some other stuff in free agency as well. And I think getting a good shooting guard that can kind of just play on ball, play off ball, shoot, play good defense at this spot, if you're not able to get any of the premier level point guards, I really like. And I think him and Ryan Rollins in that backcourt would be really solid.
I like it. He's a beast. Chicago has way too many guards, man. Like, just way too many. And I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna go. I don't know. I don't know if I like this.
Can I give you somebody who I've always mocked here?
I've always mocked Nate Ament. I wonder what you're gonna say.
I think if there's any team that takes the shot in the dark on Quatance, I think it's Chicago, because they just need a big, and he's the highest ceiling guy that they could get. Because I don't see them drafting any of the guards. That's just not like a super rich shooting guard class for the most part. So I think if there's any team in the lottery that takes a shot on him, it would be Chicago. If he does go lottery, I don't think he goes lottery unless it's to Chicago, from what I'm kind of looking at.
I can see it. I just don't know how sold I am on him. Like coming in, starting as a center right away.
Because he could go back too.
He said he's going. He pretty much declared. Okay. After Kentucky got eliminated in the locker room, he declared, which I was surprised to hear. But he did. He said, I'm going to the NBA. But I like that shout. I'm pretty stuck on Nate Ament to the Bulls right now.
Putting him with Giddey and Matas.
And I like it because if he can become a really good shooter and become if Matas and him are their 3-4 somehow, I like it a lot. I do like that. Because Ament has been getting better throughout the year. I like that at 11 because there's a lot of years where a guy with his abilities and size is going to go a lot earlier than that, and I feel like I like that pick a lot.
This could be like a version of the Matas pick from last year, because you got Matas on a super good value because he fell with the G League Ignite and everything else like that, and looking at Nate Ament, very good connecting piece. I think you could have a really fun wing rotation of Matas, Nate Ament, Noah Essengay, if he can show you something next year coming off the injury. One more thing before you get into Golden State, something that I just naturally brought up, bringing up the G League Ignite. This March Madness, with all the prospects that are playing, with how good college basketball has been this year, I'm so glad we're done with the G League Ignite shit. I'm so glad we're done with the overtime elite shit. We didn't see the Thompson twins in college basketball because of the overtime elite shit. How many guys have not played in college basketball because of G League Ignite? We didn't see guys like Kaminga, Matas, Jalen Green. Like, I'm glad all that shit's done because the best way to get to the NBA is college. That's point blank simple. If you're showing good production in college, nobody is watching G League Ignite shit. Nobody is watching overtime elite shit. Get your ass to college and show on that stage. I agree. That's all I had to say.
I agree heavily. I mean, guys, that's why I like overtime elite a little bit. Like, at least like it can be like kind of goofy hoops sometimes, but there's a lot of guys who are able to go there and get some of that like experience like in more of a spotlight and then still go get to play college after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's a good substitute. For Golden State, I love this pick for you guys. I'm assuming, Steph, we're here. We're still trying to go at it. Give me Axel Lendenborg. The guy's ready to just be a starter. I'm not even going to overthink it. He's playing. He's on a team that's making a national championship run. He's a do-it-all wing. He has a great size. He can defend his ass off. Golden State will love that for him. He's just going to be a guy who I think slides right in there, depending on who knows where what's going on with Draymond. I just love Axel Lendenborg as a prospect, even being a little older. And if you're taking anything seriously with Steph there, he's the only guy I'm thinking about, even out of all these names I see on there.
Right. The only other guy, because I always mock Yak, so I think it's a really good fit. They need a guy that's ready to step into the rotation, make a difference right away. And they just need some size in that front court. Yaxel is the perfect guy to play off Draymond, play with somebody like Kristaps if you bring him back for another year. The only other guy I've really truly mocked to Golden State, but I like Yaxel's fit because he's older, more NBA ready. Somebody like Chris Nack, who they've always been searching for, like the stretch big that can be just kind of that pseudo rim protector off Draymond. I don't think it would be ready in enough time for this era of Steph Curry, Draymond Green to really win a championship. Long term, if this was like 3 years ago and they drafted somebody like Chris Nack, I'd really love it. But I think Yaxel is the pick for them. And if Yaxel's not here for Golden State, I'd really look at one of the guards and just have one of those guards come off the bench till Steph's done. Like, that's how I would view it if any of those guards slid. But getting into Portland, they can go a number of different ways because they're such a interesting future. Because you got Dame coming back next year. Is Jrue Holiday going to be here? You still have Scoot Henderson, who has been playing better this year. Is Jeremy Grant going to be on this team? I love Donovan Clingan. I was going to go here with Thomas Haug, but I'm going to take the shot and kind of say what I was just saying with Chris Nack. Having Chris Nack has that floor spacing 6'11" guy next to Donovan Clingan and having that much shot blocking ability in that front court would make me feel a lot more safer of having like Dame and Scoots, these guys that aren't the greatest defenders, and you have just this solid two anchors down low, and you could have Chris Nack and Donovan Clingan, and Chris Nack's already playing that role at the 4 and being able to space and play on the perimeter in college, so it would be a seamless fit for him in Portland as well, and I think they kind of need somebody like that. Maybe not going to be like the perimeter guy you want, but I think his fit would be perfect with Portland, depending on what they do with Jeremy Grant. And if you keep Jeremy Grant, you can slide Jeremy Grant to the 3. Like, I think this is a really good pick in Chris Nack. Because Portland, they're kind of guard loaded, and they still have Shane Sharp, too, that I didn't even mention. Like, you don't need to go another guard there.
No, I like that a lot. Charlotte's an interesting one because, man, they got a squad. They got a squad for real. This is hard for me. I'm gonna have them take a chance on the Jaden Quintance because I think they're going into next year looking at like we think we're going to be a pretty solid team. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't mean you're moving win now though, that you need to make this ready pick. You're in no position to do that. But I think if everything can come together with Brandon Miller, Colin Knippel, LaMelo Ball, whatever goes on with all these other pieces you have, if you can get a legitimate like top end starting center out of Jaden Quintance, I think that's where you're starting to look at like some serious contention sometime. And I think if they're picking at 14, they have no problem taking that risk.
And they have.
I just like this right here for them. I like a big for them right now. I think they're good on their guard depth. I just think that is the spot where he goes off the board.
The only other guy that I mocked to Charlotte a ton was Koa Pete, just because when you have all this shooting with LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Khan, you could have Cole Pete just underneath on the inside, because who knows what they're going to do with Miles Bridges. Not saying he has the athleticism of a Miles Bridges, but like he's somebody that can just be that dirty work guy when you have all this spacing and shooting out. I think the lineup could really work that way, but I like Quintance like there as well, because you still have Brian Kalkbrenner, forget his name.
Yep.
Diatas. So
Moussa Diabate.
Diabate. So like you have some guys in that center room already. And Quintance, he could be a boomer bust guy. Like he's somebody, if he was healthy, could also be like at the top 10 conversations, like as well.
Moussa and Kalkbrenner are ready to play now, but their ceilings just aren't anywhere near as high as Quintance's. That's why I'm like good with taking the chance on.
OKC obviously can go a number of different ways here. I always thought about them because they have 2 picks and they have one at 17 as well. So I'm like, maybe they go big. You had Thomas Sorber last year who's hurt going into the year. Isaiah Hartenstein, somebody who they could flip, do the financial things, like, and everything else like that. And he's only under contract like for 2 years. Like, who knows what they do with him? I always look at them. They have 2 picks. They can go a number of different ways here. I don't think they go any of the guards like Bennett, Christian Anderson, because that you just brought in Jared McCain, and he fills that role perfectly. You still have all the guards that you do have. I go Steinbach, somebody who can just be a really good rebounder. And I think that's what this OKC team needs. He's probably the best rebounding big outside of Cameron Boozer just in the class itself.
Yeah.
And he's somebody who kind of gives you that Isaiah Hartenstein feel with his ability to kind of put the ball on the floor a little bit, play make a little bit, being able to be a really good passer out of the post. Like, and he's just a really good rebounder. And that's the one Achilles heel that OKC has had, is the rebounding portion. Like in games they haven't had Hartenstein, rebounding is kind of really crucial at times. And if they're not able to keep Hartenstein, I think Steinbach is somebody that you put in the system next to Chet Holmgren. He's somebody that can get you like 7-8 rebounds a game off your bench. And he's somebody with skill, like actual skill at the position as well. So I like OKC getting that too.
I like that pick. Who we got here?
This is your second one with Memphis. Yeah, so you have Lambert and Philon going at 8.
I love how this has worked out. I'm going Thomas Haug now. I'm going to go Thomas Haug. Just because how high I am on him as a prospect, I'm going best available for me. I think that they walk away with 2 guys who are ready to play. To play. Not saying that, like, Philon's a sophomore. There's still, just he hasn't proved, like, oh, he's going to be this in the NBA, this level of shot maker, playmaker, right? You get him in your top 8, and then now you're just looking at a guy who's just an NBA-ready player, going to be able to do a little bit of everything for you. You can plug him in at the 4, maybe at the 3, depending on how you see him and what his shooting is like at that time. I like Thomas Haug here just because he's the best available for me. In Memphis, I just trust their development too. I know I said these are NBA-ready guys, but I just feel like every time Memphis makes a pick, I trust that guy's going to be ready to be on the floor as a rookie and like doing something for them. It goes all the way back. I mean, Jalen Wells, the guy, Cedric Howard, like all these different guys. G.G. Jackson was more of a project, but he still was able to come in and just play for them. Memphis has such a good system. I think if you leave the night with Philon and Haug in this draft, you had a really good night.
Yeah. Back with OKC, I'm trying to see because there's a guy that I really
there's someone like. I like a guard here personally.
Because the only reason I'm looking at it because Topic is gonna probably get more burn next year. So then you're gonna have like SGA, Topic, McCain, Kaysen, Aaron Wiggins, Caruso. Like you have so many guards. I'm gonna take the shot on Dalen Swain, being just a wing that can fit into all of this and be another just long rangey defending wing. Because I think that's another thing OKC misses is like they don't really have that like 6'8", 6'9" guy outside of J. Like and even J-Dub's not that tall, but like coming off the bench that can kind of do a little bit of everything. And I think getting him and Steinbach, 2 guys that can just fit right into your rotation and help out a ton. I think Dalen Swain can fit perfectly. You worry about the shooting and the spacing abilities, but you were worrying about that shit with like Lou Dort as well at times, and he was able to turn around. And I trust OKC's development, and I think
I like that pick a lot.
And I think Dalen Swain and Steinbach, 2 guys that can really help you right away, and a team that's clearly trying to win. Then you're back with Charlotte again.
Yeah, and I just took Quintance with them, and now there you go. We got Cole Pete still on the board. We got our potential front court going forward with not knowing the future of Miles Bridges maybe there. This worked out perfectly for Charlotte.
So you went Koa Pete and Quintance. and Charlotte, and I went Steinbach and Swain and OKC. I'm
Yeah,
interested to
I
do
like
one
those.
with trades and everything else like that to see where we break
Once
it
we get
down.
I think once we know the order, the
Yeah,
trades, you can do once the lottery happens, we can do a trades.
right. San Antonio, another team that has their young core intact. Don't think you go guard here again because you have Dylan Harper already in your backup point guard role. You're probably just gonna keep a hold of Fox as well. You just paid him. You still have Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle. So I think you're good on the guard department. This is where I would look to add maybe a little bit more size with Luke Cornett, maybe a Luke Cornett replacement down the line, because I like Luke Cornett and what he brings you. But I think that you can get a little bit deeper with some more size. Just saying, Wemby has missed some games. Like, he has missed some time here and there. So maybe just not being so small without Wemby, if he does miss time, I think would help. But it's just like, what big do you want to go with? Like, Morris Johnson would be a super good energy big. Just somebody that can play with Wemby, somebody that's just going to run the floor really well. Ade Mara is super interesting if you just want to just go with pure size and skill ability. Baystar's here as well. Flory Badunga, one of the better defensive players in this class as well, with the shot blocking ability and just this versatility as well would be super interesting. Man, this is a super tough one. Because I was looking at Cameron Carr, I'm like, you still have Carter Bryant to develop. You still have Kelton Johnson on the wing. Like, would he really even be able to truly develop? I think they would go big here.
Patrick Ngangba intrigues me
Out
a
of the
little
bigs,
bit.
where would you go? Out of the bigs, where would you go?
I would go Patrick Ngangba. I like the idea of the Duke big coming in over any of the other options personally. I'm not super high on any of them by any means, but that's where I would go with this. I like you get a mix of size and just a guy who's going to know his role and play his role in there. He's not a guy who's had to rely on touches or anything like that. He's a system big, and that's what you're going to be in San Antonio right now.
Yeah, I like where you went with that one. And then you got Toronto.
Yeah, this is, to me, a definite guard spot. I've been wanting them to just take their loss on Emmanuel quickly. Jeez, man.
There's two of them here. Which one do you... Because I've mocked both.
I know.
Christian Anderson and Bennett Sturts. Bennett Sturts could be on the run of a lifetime if he takes Iowa past this next weekend, too.
There's a guy that's a little bit smaller that I would like to take, but I don't know if I can. Just because I don't know if it fits what Toronto's identity is as a team. Give me Bennett Sturts because he's played with Ben McCollum. He's been on these defensive-minded teams that are okay with slowing it down and playing ugly, and I think he really thrives in games like that. So I like him with Toronto, and it gives them a guy who kind of like is more of a change of pace at point guard, like. Not that like electric, like Emmanuel quickly, he can get really hot. He's this like streaky shooter, like kind of a flamethrower a little bit. Bennett Sturts is going to bring you more of that steady. Hey, slow it down. All right. I'm gonna get Bi some touches in his spots. Scotty, I'm gonna get you involved. I'm also be able to get my own. Like I just like Bennett Sturts with that group. Like he's gonna be able to get guys involved while still being a bucket himself. Mm-hmm. If he's ever to even have a role like that, and if not, and he's just coming off the bench as a guard, that's a great NBA ready guy off the bench just because of him being an older player.
I agree. He's somebody who I mocked either there or Denver a ton when I was doing mocks.
Yeah.
Sixers. Who knows where they even go? Go wing here. I think you could definitely use some more front court help. But I just don't really like a ton of the front court options. Kareem Lopez, too much of a project for a team that's trying to turn the corner and win now. I do see Christian Anderson here, and they could be like, we fucked up with Jared McCain, and we need a backup point guard, not named fucking Kyle Lowry, who's old. I think I'm going to just lean Christian Anderson and then just have Maxey, VJ, Christian Anderson for your future. Say we fucked up with the Jared McCain trade, obviously, and we're just going to draft another guard to kind of replace that void because they just need somebody outside of Tyrese Maxey when Joel Embiid's off the court to be able to produce and run a show. And I think Christian Anderson would be that guy. And then you have Detroit.
Shit. OKC and Boston are in a tight one now, end of the third. Sorry, I was just peeping that. I got a score update. That'll be a good game. All right, Detroit. I think Cade, this is tough. I want to go with a guy to get Cade like a backup point guard, but I can't do it. Man, because they're ready to go now. This is tough. This is very tough for me. There's a part of me that wants to go Braylon Mullins to get them shooting.
because Kevin Huter's probably not going to be on this team next year because he's
Give
on a
me
1
Cameron
year.
Carr, though. Give me Cameron
Okay.
Carr. I'm just so high on him, and I trust his shooting to be able to play right away. And then on the chance that he can become more than that, that really adds something to their team. I like Cameron Carr to be the starting 2 for the Pistons next year.
Okay. Denver for me. There is a world where they lose Peyton Watson this offseason.
I think so too.
There's a world where that happens. I think they would do everything in their power to keep him, even if it came down to moving somebody like Cameron Johnson, who would be on a 1 year at this point. They're another team where I'm just like, could they sneakily go big here? Because it's like, Jonas Valanciunas, he was already talking about going and playing overseas. Like, Deron Holmes, he hasn't been, like, healthy at all. We haven't seen any of him. Like, are you going to go roll the dice with another veteran backup center next offseason and get something like that? Or are they going to kind of go another NBA-ready guy? I really think they need a backup guard. This is where I would like Bennett Sturts, Christian Anderson to fall to them. And then it gives me an opportunity to talk about Tyler Tanner, who's absolutely amazing. We'll talk about him in next week's episode when we're kind of just talking about the tournament in general itself. He's the guy that I wanted to talk about. Him and Braylon Mullins are the guys I wanted to talk about that I think would stay another year and do the LeBaron Philon. Yeah, I could be a fringe first rounder, go to a tough situation. I'm going to stay, go to and just play my ass off because Braylon Mullins, a lot of injury concerns this year. I think he's just now starting to shake back. And with how deep this class is, kind of at that guard position, I think it would be beneficial for him to stay another year at UConn and then come out next year. And Tyler Tanner, I mean, he's phenomenal. If he came out, there's so many places I would love him. But I do think there's a world where he stays and then is like the best guard damn near that comes out next year, even though he'll be older.
He's already a sophomore, though, but it's not – yeah, but you can make a lot of money, too, in college now.
Yeah.
I bet – yeah. It's a tough
Especially
one.
with how good Vanderbilt was this year with him there. I think he runs it back with Vanderbilt, so I'm not going to go that route there. This is tough. This is, like, really tough because there's no guard outside of Tyler Tanner that I would like them taking.
Everyone for them, though, I feel like I'm – it's like best case scenario for almost any prospect to go to Denver, though.
Yeah.
Like that's a good place to end up.
They're in a winning situation. Give me a guy I love. Give me Isaiah Evans.
Oh, good pick, yeah. We've been sleeping on him, low-key. He could have went.
I wanted him to go a lot earlier. Too. He's somebody that I think could have flipped with the Dalen Swain pick that I made for OKC earlier. And just getting another wing that could defend and shoot. But Isaiah Evans, obviously a better shooter than Dalen Swain. But give me Isaiah Evans, because if you do lose somebody like Peyton Watson, not saying that he's going to be the shot creator that Peyton Watson has become this year pre-injury, but give me another athletic wing that can switch, guard multiple positions, and space the floor. That's all you need in Denver. That's legit all Denver needs. It's some more switchable wing guys and a backup point guard.
He'd be a more offensively gifted Peyton Watson potentially. Obviously not going to be the defender he is, but just that length, I like that. Atlanta, who did you take? Who did we take earlier with Atlanta? You took Mikael Brown. Okay.
You can go anywhere here because I like them keeping Kuminga. Risha Shea, you can still develop him, and you have Nall and Dyson Daniels, and then now you already have Mikael Brown, Jalen Johnson.
I think right here, you got Mikael Brown probably going to be running the 1 for them. Give me Henry Vasar. I want a big here that can play that can still bring me more offense than a Flory, but also has that shot blocking ability. Because I'm not set with who they have as big right now, and I like the idea of Vasar joining this team.
Lakers. I'm gonna keep it simple. We've already kind of hyped him up in previous episodes. This is the perfect Flory Badunga team. Just somebody who's going to be able to fit, catch lobs, play off of guys like Reeves if they keep Bron, Luka. I just think he's the perfect energy guy JJ Redick is looking for. And I think he has a way more defensive-minded side of the basketball compared to Jackson Hayes. Obviously, I don't think he's this above-the-rim threat like Jackson Hayes, but I think his switchability and his ability to just not even need touches and just be able to rim run would be perfect for what the Lakers need. And he could just be a really good anchor for the defense.
Yeah, I love that. I love that pick. New York. Oh, man.
I have a sneaky one here.
I like Joshua Jefferson right here. I like Joshua Jefferson because I'm thinking of a guy who's going to be able to come in and play the 3, play the 4, They say in power forward center, he is not a center at all. I like that though because then we're looking at the lineups where they go with Mitchell Robinson if he's still on the team next year when Cat's on the bench, and you go Jefferson, Robinson at your 4 or 5, and that just kind of can change how you're going to play a little bit. When I know they have a Tyler Kolek and Jalen Brunson and guys who need the ball in their hand, that's how Jefferson's played. But I just think when I think of the Knicks, I think of contention. They're contending for a title, and I think Jefferson's ready to play there. I know people like Jefferson to Boston for kind of the same reasons. But I look at Boston as being more wing heavy than New York, so that's what makes me like Jefferson in New York. I'm curious of who your sneaky pick was there.
My sneaky pick was somebody that could go here, and it's more so I was thinking he could either go to New York and Boston. I like him with Boston just because of the play style, and I think he's going under the radar. I'm not sure if he's going to come out, could stay, but it is his teammate Milan because of just you get somebody at 6'8", 6'9", with just a pure strap in the Joe Mazzulla system. Like, I think he's a sneaky end of the first round guy.
Yeah, no, I agree.
With
he's
his
the best shooter in the
ability to
nation, not even
space.
close.
And when you have Pritchard, Derek White, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, you already kind of have that with like Sam Hauser in a way, but he has a really tradable contract. You have Vooch, you want to bring him back, but if you're thinking Boston end of the first round, we can get pretty much the best shooter in the class right here at 6'8", can play with Tatum, play with Brown. Give me that. Give me that. I want him for New York because I'm looking at New York's bench and I'm like, man, if they just had like a bigger shooting wing off the bench, I would be like, okay, like they have such versatility to put him out there with like OG and Josh Hart and Mikal. Like he would fit fine in New York, but I love his fit in Boston with how just they play and want to shoot the ball.
I like that. I like that for sure. Who am I on? Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm going to treat this like he comes out because if he does, this is a perfect spot for me to grab Tyler Tanner. I'm just looking at a guy who's going to be a point guard and
plays bigger than his size.
Plays way bigger than his size. He has more dunks than any of the other guards in this class as a 6-foot guy. I saw a stat. He had 12 dunks this year, I think, and then Darren Peterson had like 10 and maybe one other guy had 10. And he's smaller than all of them. And I just think he could fit because, one, he's not going to have this crazy guard responsibility by any means with Anthony Edwards being there, but they still need more of a playmaking point guard, which he can be that. He's a great shooter, and he plays bigger than he is, but also the defensive infrastructure there is amazing, and it's not going to be like a Bones Highland situation. Tyler Tanner is much more steady than a Bones Highland type player. That's just an upgrade, instant upgrade to me personally. I would say when you're thinking of them as future players. So I'm going to go Tyler Tanner there, assuming he does come out. But I kind of am on the side agreeing with you.
There's another guy for Minnesota that Tyler Tanner wasn't here. They could probably use a second rounder on him because I think he's going to end up falling to the second round. But they're in desperate need of a point guard, steady ball handler. They've needed it for years. Mike Conley's aging out of that role now. He's not the defender and playing out of his size like Tyler Tanner. But I think if you just put a guy like Braden Smith, we've talked about him a ton. If you put a guy like Braden Smith next to some NBA talent and Anthony Edwards and put him with like a big that kind of wants his easy touches around the rim, Rudy Gobert, and Braden Smith is somebody that can just find his role out there. I don't think he's going to go in the first round just because of his age and his size and everything else like that. He doesn't have the athleticism of a Tyler Tanner or just the kind of the scoring knack of a Tyler Tanner. But I think whatever team he falls to, he's going to be a perfect fit. He's not in the top echelon of guards, obviously, because of the athleticism and everything else like that. But if you put him in a place like Minnesota with all that athleticism and talent and just say, all right, we just need you to put us in these sets and put us in the right positions to score, I would not hate that if they spent a second round pick on somebody like Braden Smith at all.
I like it. I like it.
And then I'm on Cleveland, who I'm going to look at this. You have Harden, Mobley, D. Mitch, Allen. I think I love Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. I think if you bring that back, Jalen Tyson's been really, really good this year. Dean Wade's underrated. Sam Merrill plays his role.
They're going size.
Yeah.
They got to be going size.
Because you can't have Thomas Bryant be your backup big forever. I'm interested because they could go somebody like Morris Johnson. Just a really good energy guy, but I think that's too much in the mold of Jared Allen. I think they would go somebody with a little bit more skill. I was just kind of scrolling down looking at some names. Somebody like Alex Condon could be super interesting for them.
What about just the biggest fella possible? If they're already
Amara.
a contender,
Yeah,
that's where my mind goes. But I'm with you on the skill thing too, because you already have just the tower of like Jarrett Allen. I'm not saying he's not skillful. Maybe like a different type of big that's like can bring a little more is what they're going to be looking for. I don't know. Maybe it's just a four, like a Morez Johnson, who I think could just play an NBA four also. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Uh,
because you do look at lineups where you have Mobley and because if you already have Mobley and Allen, you kind of just need somebody to just like you'd rather have that veteran that can kind of just come in, play a spot minutes, and like produce, and you don't have to worry about him being a rookie or anything. Interested to see where they would go. Like this is just because you don't really need Braylon Mullins because you already just paid Sam Merrill and he kind of fits just that mold of, and he's just better
right.
because you already have Keon Ellis, Dennis Schroeder, Sam Merrill in your backcourt. Would you just take somebody like Dame Star and another wing out of Duke?
I like Dame Sarr, but there's a better wing I'd take over him. But I like Dame Sarr probably. I actually love Dame Sarr defensively. But
Amari
there's a
Allen?
wing. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Because you're just looking for another defensive guy.
I think Amari Allen's. That's just like another jumbo. Dame Sarr looks big as fuck though too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you. I like Dame Sarr actually a lot. I'm surprised you shouted him. I really like that. I like him as a prospect.
Question to the shooting with Dame Sar.
Yeah, and Amari Allen has it just playing in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Kareem
We'll go-
Lopez, I don't know.
We'll go Amari Allen. We'll go Amari Allen. He's somebody that can feel
Yeah.
like just slide right into that rotation. And now you have the 30th
Yeah.
pick, the last pick in the first round with the Dallas Mavericks. Keaton Wagner was
We had
the
Wagler
first
go
pick.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still thinking guard here. Do I want to? I know they have Max Christie there. I can't do that. I was going to say just take Braylon Mullins because he's still out there, but it's like, I just feel like with them already having the Max Christie, I don't really like any of these spots for them right now. I'm gonna go. All right. I don't. What's Gafford's situation with them?
I mean, you still have Derek Lively. You have Daniel Gafford. I think Daniel Gafford is prime
To
trade
stay?
candidate guy, possibly. It just depends on what the direction the Dallas Mavericks want to go in.
I know that's why this is hard. Give me Tonde Yusofu. I'll take a shot on another guard talent with them. Let's say in the world maybe Kyrie's not there. Now we're just
Mhm.
looking at just getting better players. That's just another scorer. And I think if you got a Wagler, him coming in, one of those guys to me works out. I just feel most comfortable taking him if I'm being completely honest. I don't think really that's a pick they would make. I'm saying if I'm in this position as the GM, it's like, okay, we just got Wagler. I need their guards to be better and not have so much pressure on Cooper. I just think getting more buckets in there is only going to help out with everything, and I just feel most comfortable with that pick working out.
I'm perfectly fine with that because that's a tough place at the end of the first round. But on screen here is our first round mock draft,
Look at that.
March Madness edition.
I think it looks
Definitely
good.
going to be doing more in the future. Once we get the lottery order, we'll probably be doing a handful with some trades and just once we get the picks in order and everything else like that. Looking at this, I think we did a pretty good job going pick by pick. Some of my favorite picks,
Yeah.
I love Milan to the Celtics just because his shooting
That's
ability.
great.
Tyler Tanner's kind of the wild card because if he comes out, he's somebody that's probably close to the Christian Anderson tier as of right now with how he's played. And he's somebody that, I love him in Minnesota. He's somebody that I could see in Denver, like see in Detroit. Like he's somebody that could fit in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to make one change, I'd probably, if Kristen Eck doesn't go here, him and OKC with Chet with the shot blocking and floor spacing would be crazy. It'd be crazy.
I like it.
Especially OKC having 2 picks right here is interesting.
We went hella size back to back to back, bro. From Ament all the way down to like damn near Swain.
Mm-hmm.
Like we knocked out a lot of the size in the first round. Or even further, down to Ngongba. Like we had Pete, Ngongba, all from 11 to 19. It's pretty good size there.
But that is all we have for you guys in this episode of a March Madness mock draft thing. Definitely be in the future doing more mocks. Next week, we're going to be doing kind of more of a March Madness focused episode. It'll be post Elite 8. getting into some stuff that's happened throughout the tournament. Some guys that have rose their draft stock, some guys that you're questioning their draft stock. We'll go down in depth more next week about just March Madness itself. Anything else you want to add, Cole?
No, man, I thought that was fun. I thought it was good to get our mock going because we just did our big board. So, not much I feel like has changed really of how we view anybody too much from just the tournament. I mean, definitely, if anything, just some guys proving our points, which is always cool to see.
Absolutely. But thank you guys for tuning into the Barrel Talk podcast. Hope to see you tune in to future episodes.